Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon and welcome to another video. If you're liking this sort of content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. We've now had all of the reveals for BT21, albeit there's one that's missing from Digimon Card App, which we'll explain in a bit. So let's take a look at the general card pool, see what sort of decks are going to be available and what sort of things are coming up. So this is quite possibly the reddest set that has ever existed. There's so much stuff for red decks because obviously this is a protagonist deck, a protagonist set, so it's got a lot of the support for a lot of the kind of previous protagonists from the anime, so a lot of their decks are getting support, and a lot of the tamers, historically speaking, have been red. But we've got a crap ton of stuff in here that's very exciting for a lot of players. I mean, this kind of looked at BT12 and went, okay, you were a Proteg set, hold my beer, I'm gonna show you how it's done. You know, and it's just a cracking set. I mean, ultimately for me, there's not a whole lot of decks I'll be building from it, but there's definitely a few which are very interesting. I'm not going to be talking too much about the hero and adventure support in this video, just because we did a little bit of theory crafting for that in a previous video, which is our Bait or Busted Wargreymon Ace and Metal Garurumon Ace video. Granted, there have been some reveals since then, so we will discuss those, but we're not going to be looking at those particular builds in this video. We're going to look at some other theory crafted builds. But there is a lot of stuff, and we're looking at our eggs. We've got 2 different red eggs in one set, which to my knowledge, I don't think we've had that before. Two eggs of the same colour. There's no purple egg in this. I think the purple egg essentially is a box topper in this, which in my mind I feel like you would probably put that in the main set and then have one of these red eggs be a box topper, especially assuming there are 2 eggs for the hero archetype in this, with the Gurumon and the Koromon. Both of them can be used in the hero deck. Both of them have the hero trait. But we have got some really interesting eggs in this. The Digimon is really interesting, you know, specifically for the Medusa deck, and we have got a build for that one in this video, so we will take a look at that. Essentially allowing you to digivolve up when something is removed from. You know, it's basically similar idea to Koromon in the fact that it works on that when security is removed timing, but instead of netting you a draw, you get to digivolve up for a reduced cost, which is actually really cool. The other eggs, we've got the Yokomon for the Wind Guardians, just letting you get a draw. Wind Guardians is a bit of a weird one. We are looking at that one. Speaking of weird, we've got the Appmon stuff, which hold your butts for the list I've come up for that, because I don't even know. I need to properly look into Appmon properly to see how it all works, man. This is the second game I have played where there has been an error where link monsters have essentially been brought in, and it confuses my old boomer brain. I don't like it, but we're going to look at them. We're going to try. We're going to be brave. We've got the Sumemon, which controversially is the egg in this for the Galacticmon deck. You know, which I know we're not looking at that build specifically in this because I don't want to touch it, because I know Charles is our resident Galacticmon aficionado, so he will definitely want to take a look at that, and I will most likely ask him to see if he could come up with a list for us in the lead up to BT21. Again, also all the lists in this video are not theory crafted. I am starting to test with proxies, we all are, but it's still fairly early days because obviously we've only just had everything revealed. Some other interesting bits in here. We've got some Examon support with the Dracomon X finally giving the deck an end of turn DNA option, which is really cool. You could only ever do that in like weird janky stuff that uses Examon, so I mean technically speaking you could probably pull off an Examon DNA in something like you know, well, a bit like Digidane did in our challenge video, where he was kind of using kind of sylphy red yellow stuff. He never actually pulled off an end of turn to DNA, but he did pull off DNAs, so you know that's potentially something. But now the actual deck has got an end of turn DNA kind of thing. We've now also got a few kind of looking at the hero trait stuff a little bit, a couple of things which are kind of warp Digimon, so they're very much in line with the Ogumon from the structure deck. Ogumon here warping up into Shine Greymon, and then somewhere is Gamamon there. No, not you. Gamamon warping up into Siriusmon, which is pretty cool. We also have a couple of legacy support for the some of the Liberator stuff. So this is one for the Aquas, just giving you a cost reduction thing, which is probably going to be something we're going to see a lot from the Liberator stuff, because we've seen it here, we've seen it here, and we're seeing it here. So we're getting a lot of these cost reduction rookies, and most likely we'll get them for other decks, such as the the Owen deck, and maybe even for Zenith's deck, the Venmon stuff, if we haven't already seen that. We have got a lot of really cool stuff. Obviously, the hybrid stuff is getting a lot of good support. So we've got a new Aldamon, we've got a new Burning Grey, we've got a new Gunimon as well. Both of them are really good. The Gunimon is great in both hybrid and hero. I've been trying it out in hero, and actually it's really good. It's one of like the cornerstones of that deck for me. You've got obviously more of the Gamamon stuff. You've got a tamer player here in the Battle Gamamon, in that if you have one or fewer kind of way. You've got a few new armor cards as well. The armor cards are actually a little bit of a sour spot for me, because they are, some of them are hero trait, like this Magnamon, for example, but they do not work in the hero archetype, because they're all selfish, and they only use their effects off of armor form stuff, which is lame. I want extra color in that deck. I want blue stuff, but I don't get it, because it doesn't work. But you get a new Flamedramon, a new Lydramon, and a new Magnamon, as well as a new option as well, which essentially gives you a searcher, and also allows you to remove the top stack card from your armor form Digimon to then digivolve into an armor form trait. So yeah, blue armor is getting some more kind of power to it, just after it arguably became the best deck in the format, on the fact that it's just adapted to the ban list changes so well. It's like, oh, my Blinding Ray's gone. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to put a Royal Knight engine in me now. You can't bring me down. I'll still be a big unaffected boy. Oh, and you got rid of Mother Shoto, of course. So I'm gonna roll on in. One of the disadvantages of getting rid of Mother Shoto, admittedly, but ultimately I still think getting rid of Mother Shoto was a healthier thing for the game, in my opinion. Not everyone will agree with me on that, and that's okay. We're allowed to not agree. That's how opinions work. Some other really cool stuff. So obviously we've got a lot of SR tamers for the hero deck stuff. Basically every I don't even know how many Digimon are SRs in this set. There are obviously some, like the Puppetmon from the Wingardians and stuff like that. But a lot of the tamers are SRs. So if you're pulling from this set, just be prepared to maybe be disappointed on SRs, unless you are specifically building your protagonist decks. Like if you're not a protagonist deck fan, this is not the set for you. Don't touch it with a barge pole. Buy singles from it. If you are a fan of protagonist decks, like I am, then freaking go for it. I want to build the hero deck out of principle. I think that's going to be really fun. It is one of the ones that's kind of lower on my priority list to build, just because I think there's a lot of SRs and stuff like that we need for it. It's a really cool set from that kind of standpoint. Our other secret rare, of course, is the Gaiamon here for the Applink stuff. So we'll be taking a look at that. A couple of other new bits. Obviously, we had a few new adventure bits. This Skull Greymon. Obviously, this is not going to be in the previous video that we did, because of the fact that this wasn't been revealed by then. But essentially, this really gives a lot of recursion power to the deck, also giving you the raid and retaliation. So I will definitely be looking at. I've got all my freaking look at these right there. Look, Skull Greymon proxy. My little bent pieces of paper, massive wad of 4 ofs, which I actually need to get sleeved up. Though I don't know if I've even got any spare sleeves, I'll be honest, and I didn't order any, so that's fun. But yeah, this Skull Greymon is really, really cool. Potentially could get some use in Greymon as well. So not bad. But yeah, I think that's a general overview of a lot of the more interesting stuff here. Let's take a look at some deck builds now, starting with Medusamon. So this is one of the ones that I am really excited for this set. I found it weird that Owen was introduced so early in Liberator and then didn't really have any support other than this single tamer card in BT18, which was odd. But now he's got his full line. He's got a lot of stuff, and the deck is really interesting. Like I say, this is not tested. I do have my proxies for Medusa as well, which I need to sleeve up and get ready for testing tomorrow, or today when you guys see this. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting deck. It's got a lot of DP boosts from stuff like the Ogumon and the Cyclonemon. You know, it's just a lot of oomph in this. We've got the removing effect of kind of gaining memory whenever security is removed from. So there's a lot of kind of nice little things we can do there. Gaining memory, a lot of kind of digivolution effects with the Digimon, as mentioned before. A lot of cost reduction. The Raging Serpentine option is really cool. When it would be used, if you've got 3 or fewer security, you reduce the use of it by the cost of it by 4. So if your opponent has 3 or fewer security, sorry, which is really nice. Then main effect deletes one of your opponent's highest DP Digimon, then place this card in the battle area. So this is almost like a red version of Biting Crush in the fact that it does a main effect that deletes and then has a delay where it just waits for a little while. And when your opponent's security stack is removed for this delay effect, one of your reptile or dragonkin trait Digimon may digivolve into a reptile or dragonkin trait Digimon in the hand without paying the cost. Which is really, really nice. We've got access to a couple of bits of Rush in here as well with the new War Greymon, which I'd love to try and see if I could make this work in actual Greymon. I don't know if you would necessarily, because it's not like going to get as big as you need maybe, but it could work. Having Rush, Raid, and Blocker is really good, and it's actually kind of similar to a custom card I came up with back when we were talking about the ST. The ST20 deck, which because I came up with a bunch of Rush mechanics and Raid and Blocker and all that sort of stuff. You know, but you know, really, really cool card. You know, nice to see it in here. It's a weird line for War Greymon, obviously within the lore. We go from Ogumon to Cyclonemon to Cyberdramon to War Greymon, but that's still really cool. The Cyberdramon, speaking of the Cyberdramon, once again, communist Machine Dramon at work, looking at this guy, licking its lips. You know, with the fact that you've got something where you've got a 4,000 DP inheritable on an uncommon. You'd only get DP inheritables that high on stuff for you know, in the BT1 secret rare, you know, which was 3,000. So this is more than that. And I'm looking at this, remembering it's an uncommon, and I made a little post of a regulation battle deck that I'd come up with for Machine Dramon, because you can actually play Machine Dramon in the regulation battle format. And this is a great shoe-in for that deck, because it's an uncommon, and it gives you 4,000 DP. So, yeah, I might have to include this card if I end up building that. But, yeah, we've got the Omni 1X in here just as a little thing. We have to, of course, talk about Medusamon. It's got the progress keyword. It and its level 5, the Lamiamon, both have the progress keyword. Security attack +1, so nice and aggressive. Has a when digivolving end of attack once per turn effect of you may delete one of your opponent's lowest Digimon. Lowest DP Digimon. Then all turns, when any of your opponent's Digimon are deleted or their security stack is removed from, they play 1 petrification token, which essentially is a 3,000 DP white Digimon with a your turn effect of this Digimon can't suspend, and an on deletion effect of trashing your top security card. So if that dies, your opponent has to trash their top security card, which means in theory, and this is why Owen at first this one didn't seem very good, but because this is on same timing, when your opponent's security stack is removed from by suspending this tamer, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 4,000 DP or less, I think in theory, I don't know for sure in terms of timing, I'd need to test it. Let me know in the comments if you do know for sure. But essentially, when you've played out that token as per that all turns effect, you could play out the token, then this on the same timing would then delete that token to trash one of their security. I think in my head that works. You know, but it's just a really cool deck. I really love it, and honestly, it might be something that I look into playing a bit more competitively. I think it's got a lot of potential, in the fact it's so hyper aggressive and has a lot of removal, and you know, it's obviously going to struggle against certain things. Like, you know, obviously in terms of DP, we can get bigger than Magnamon X, but we won't necessarily be able to delete Magnamon X because of the armor purge and the unaffected kind of stuff. But yeah, I also did put Vortex Resonance in this. I've been sitting on 2 copies of this that I've used in none of my decks. So I thought I'd try and put it in this, and that's why I've also got the Tyrannomon in here, because it digivolves off of all the reptiles. Gives you a potential 5,000 DP you can work off of, you know, and both of our level 5s just digivolve off of any level 5 for a cost of 3, and then obviously it's searchable off of this because it's a Liberator card. If you didn't like this, you could swap it out for like ST1 Greymon just to give some more security tap +1 or something like that. But yeah, I really like this deck, and we'll move on to our next deck, which is Megidramon. So I'm not a mill player. I am not a purple player. So if you don't like this, please let me know in as little of an aggressive manner as possible. But Megidramon, I freaking love this Megidramon. It's just so funny. Security attack +1, Digivolves for 5 on top of a red or a purple, and 4 off of a Growlmon in name. End of attack, delete all Digimon. Every single one, including itself. Which is really... That's really funny. You know, I'd almost want to try and cheese this into the previous deck we looked at, the Medusamon one, because if you've got enough tokens, you could delete all Digimon and trash all of their security by deleting all of their tokens, which would be so funny. But it also has got an on-deletion effect, because of course it deletes itself with that effect of you may play one play cost 3 or lower Digimon card with Guillemon or Growlmon in its name through trash without paying the cost, and for every 10 cards in both players' trash, add 2 to this effect's play cost maximum. So it's a really, really cool card. You know, you could also play like Crimson Mode Ace in this potentially because of the fact you're trashing so much. So I would definitely think about playing that. I opted not to, I guess. I don't know why, but you could absolutely play that in this to do that. Again, this is all untested stuff that I've basically built pretty much just before doing this video. So as much thought as my brain will allow has gone into this. But definitely some tweaking we can do. We do also have this really cool War Growlmon here. So it's another kind of milling kind of thing, but it trashes 2 cards off of your deck. It doesn't trash off of both, like some of the previous War Growlmons do. But essentially, sorry, I just cracked my knuckles there for no reason. When attacking, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Megidramon or Chaos Gallimon in this name in the hand. For every 10 cards in both players' trash, reduce the effect's Digivolution cost by 1. So obviously your Megidramon does cost quite a bit to go into, even on top of a Growlmon, but you can reduce that cost even more with this War Growlmon. Also does gain Reign of Retaliation after you've done the trashing effect, which is quite nice because we've got a Takato that gives blocker, so you know we've got a retaliation blocker potentially. Also has the great on deletion of trashing your opponent's top security stack, so when you do you know, unalive with the Megidramon, you then trash your security, and you've got loads of other on deletion effects. You can gain memory off of your Growlmon and your Guillemon from BT21. You can return stuff with the EX4 Black Growlmon. You know, it's just really cool. We've got the Guillemon with the Rush. It's just, yeah, it's a really cool little thing. We've also got the Digimon I designed. Not a Digimon I designed. It's the one Takato did in the anime. Yeah. But if you've got Takato in play, you can ignore this card's colour requirements. It doesn't really matter that it's purple. Then you draw 1 and trash 1 card in your hand, place it in the battle area. When effects delete Digimon, well, obviously you're deleting your own Digimon a lot of the time. One of your Digimon with Guillemon or Growlmon in its name may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Growlmon or Gallopmon or Megidramon in its name in the trash without paying the cost. So you could do your big Megidramon play, use the delay of this to then Digivolve the thing that got played out. With that, because it will all be on the same timing. You've also got the Gigimon. This is the egg that I was like, this probably should have just been in the set, but then oddly enough we would have then also ended up with 2 Gigimons in the same set. So I guess that's probably why they've, yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah, because then they would, yeah, 2 Gigimons in the same set, very similar codes but slightly different codes. Just easier to make this a promo, I guess. But I also put the Trinity Burst in this because I thought it'd be funny. It's not necessarily good. You probably should swap this out for like a Crimson Mode Ace or something like that. But I just thought it was funny. We've got War Growlmons, you know, so it works. So I thought that'd be funny. But yeah, let's move on to the next list, which is Wind Guardians. I wanted to try and look at as many colours as possible in this deck, in this video, but I did struggle a bit with some of them. So I'm kind of fusing blue and green together. I didn't even come up with anything for yellow. I'm just not yellow-minded, I guess. But the Wind Guardians deck is probably one of the decks in this which feels the most incomplete. It feels very much like Nature Spirits did when it first came out, because it's got 2 deck, you know, Digivolution lines, but no real finishing point. It doesn't even, unlike Nature Spirits, it doesn't even have a DNA thing to do it, you know, to do it all. It feels like at the moment like it's very much more of a we are rushing deck. We are rushing in. We're doing as many checks as we can with smaller bodies. We've got the vortex stuff, you know. So I do expect there to be a a new DNA Digivolve Digimon for this. Most likely, I can't remember the name of it, but it's the big deer with the horns. I'll put it up on screen. I can't remember it off the top of my head because I believe that is a Digivolution of, I think it's Puppetmon and Hydramon. I think not the Griffinmon. But also, I mean, is Hydramon a Wind Guardians? I'll put that up on screen. But yeah, Wind Guardians seems very much like it's not quite finished yet. But there are some really cool little texts you can put into it. So we've got the Shoto from ST18, for example, because we do have access to Vortex with the Wind Guardians card. This gives all of your Wind Guardian trait Digimon Vortex. So you can use this to change the attack target to the player, for example, which is pretty nice. Obviously, you do need targets for the Vortex, which is why I've put in 2 copies of Octomon. If we've got enough Digimon out, which we can go quite wide in this deck, then essentially you could get a token on their side so you've got that kind of Vortex target. I thought that would be pretty funny. I think I was talking with BB Dudes the other day in regards to what he does for Sephagamon, and he plays this sometimes as a funny tech just because of that. I don't think he did that at regionals. I don't think, from what we were talking about, but yeah, that's a cool little tech card. I thought Ukamon in here just to fill numbers and give us a search. Jade Memory Boost is great because we've got a lot of blue and green, so not bad. Examon I thought would be funny because if we do end up with both of these on board, we could DNA. We can't blast DNA, but we could at least use that as a DNA target. We've also got the Paladin Mode Ace as well. So yeah, it needs a lot of work, Wind Guardians, but I do expect it to get support in the very near future, most likely in EX9. So hopefully we'll start seeing reveals of all of that soon. Next deck, and this is our last deck we're talking about today, is Appmon. And like I said prepare yourself because I don't really know the ratios for this deck. It confuses the fuck out of me because it has a new thing and I don't like it because I'm too much of a boomer. So we've got the egg so we can link and stuff. I kind of went with stuff based on names, so I know there's a bunch of kind of Three Musketeers and Appmon Digimon, but I decided not to put them in here because all of these seem to have these Digimon fusion requirements, which you can't quite see, unfortunately, because of the sample part. But this one requires Soshimon and Gossipmon, so Soshimon, Gossipmon. This one requires Dogachimon and Timemon, so they both are, so I kind of went with as much of that stuff as possible. Gaiamon, of course, is the top end, gives you the blocker, it does the link +1, so you get to add 1 to this Digimon's maximum links limit. It has a when Digivolving and when attacking effect. You may link 1 Digimon card with the Appmon trait from your hand or this Digimon's Digivolution cards to one of your Digimon without paying the cost. So you can actually link off stuff from this as well. Then your turn effect, when your Digimon get linked by unsuspending this Digimon, trash your opponent's top security card. So not only are you unsuspending, you're also trashing with this. So it's a pretty stonking card. You've got the Charismon and the Globemon. The Charismon is pretty cool. Has blocker, links with the Soshimon and Gossipmon or Digimon or Digifusions, I guess. On play, when Digivolving, you may link 1 level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash or this Digimon's Digivolution cards to this Digimon without paying the cost. So that's an interesting thing as well, because you could kind of link from your own sources, which I think is what's confusing me as well. Anyone who's looked a bit more into the Appmon stuff, let me know if this list is anywhere near what you're thinking, because I could almost guarantee it's not. So, but really, really cool little card. He's got a really cool design as well. But it's got all turns effect when this Digimon would leave the battle area by trashing one of this Digimon's link cards. It doesn't leave, so you can do that. So you kind of have you've got your stack and then your link cards off of it as well, which is pretty cool. And it has like you can do a Laplas's Demon effect on it. The Globemon, security tap +1 on this guy. And the thing is, you could get absolutely massive in this deck. So all of your link stuff gives DP buffs. So the rookies all give 2,000, the champions all give 3,000, and the level 5s give 4,000. So this level 5 being at 10,000 and with security tap +1 can get absolutely massive with the right amount of stuff underneath him for your links. So that is pretty cool. On play and when Digivolving, may link one level 4 or lower Digimon card from your hand or this Digimon's Digivolution cards to this Digimon without paying the cost. I need to look more into this Digimon Fusion thing as well, because when I think Digimon Fusion, I'm thinking it's must be similar to like DNA Digivolution and Digicross. Possibly more similar to the latter, because it's got an on-play effect. So maybe Digimon Fusion, you put them together, it doesn't reduce or anything like that, and you just play it out. I don't know, maybe, but I need to properly look into it. I probably should have looked into it more before this video, frankly. So if you'd like a deeper dive into the link mechanic, let me know, because it would be a good opportunity for me to actually learn it. But when this Digimon gets linked, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon. And because you can get so big, that's huge. We've, of course, got the Haru at 4. This one just lets you get draws whenever you're linking. And then one of your Digimon may app fuse into a Digimon card in the hand. So this allows you to actually do your Digimon fusion. We've got the app link, which lets us do our searching and links up more of the stuff. I did also put analog youth in this just because we had a couple of things like this Gossipmon that allows you to return Digimon card with the Appmon trait from your trash to the hand. They do count as Digimon, so therefore this does work out. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting list. I know Dane is really keen to get his hands on the app stuff. I think he's going to be our main person doing the app stuff. The rest of us are all old codgers who don't want to try the Appmon stuff, but I think it's going to be a really interesting deck. Very strange, I think, to get used to begin with, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. But that's the lists, guys, and the general kind of overview of BT21. Let me know what decks you guys are looking forward to playing the most. I think for me, it's definitely Medusa, Hero, and Adventure. As I kind of mentioned those latter two in that previous video. I think that's definitely what I'm most keen to do. I mean, I'm historically a very red player, so I like my red decks, and especially because we've got a little bit of unlinear stuff in Medusa, a bit more akin to maybe stuff like birds, where we have to think more about how we're doing certain things. I think that's really, really cool, and I really can't wait to do that deck. And we'll obviously have some profiles on the way in the lead up to BT21 once we've done a little bit more testing. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. Like, subscribe, and ding that notification bell, and I hope you guys enjoy our match on Friday between Chaosmon and Gallantmon. But until then, keep it digital.